Okay, so you want the inside scoop on big tech and their, like, eco-promises. Right. Well, get this. We're doing a deep dive into two FinShots articles, and let me tell you, they get kind of real about what's powering your Instagram scrolling. Spoiler alert, it's not just good vibes.
Yeah, and the interesting thing here is it's not even just about, like, saving the planet, you know? This energy consumption from these tech giants, we're talking Google, Amazon, Microsoft, it all has these huge implications. Geopolitics, competition for resources, even national security. It's a lot bigger than people realize.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you actually stop and think about it. Like, I'm just over here trying to bake, and suddenly I'm like a pawn in some global energy chess match
Yeah.
because of my data usage.
It's all connected. And these articles, they shine a light on data centers. They use an insane amount of energy.
Okay, so data centers use a ton of energy, got it.
Yeah.
But the articles also mention that where these data centers are actually located, like geographically, matters. One of the articles said that Meta's reported data center emissions were 14,000 times lower than what they actually were based on location.
Yeah, and that right there, that kind of discrepancy should make everyone, like, pause. This all highlights this whole issue of renewable energy certificates, or RECs. Companies can buy these certificates, and it offsets their emissions on paper. It's basically funding renewable energy projects, but somewhere else, not necessarily where they are using the energy.
So it's like me going for a run, but then rewarding myself with a donut. Sure, I technically exercised, but it doesn't erase the donut, right?
Exactly. And this is where the AI boom just throws a wrench into everything. There was that study, I think you've seen it, that showed a single ChatGPT query using 10 times more energy than a Google search.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So now imagine millions of people using AI tools every day, constantly.
Hold on, let me grab my calculator. Okay, so if I ditch Google and just use ChatGPT for everything, we're talking about my energy bill looking like I'm powering a small city, aren't we?
And to make it even worse, Goldman Sachs predicts data center energy consumption could go up by like 160% by 2030. Are we going to have to choose between like the internet and turning on our lights in the future? It's a real concern. And that's a big reason why big tech is scrambling for these reliable and sustainable energy sources, which leads us to something interesting. Nuclear power.
Nuclear power. It
Right.
seems like big tech is going back to the future with this one. But can nuclear power really shake off its, bad reputation and become the hero of our digital age?
It's a gamble, that's for sure. Nuclear power has its own challenges, but it's also this incredibly powerful carbon-free energy source. Can big tech make it work on a scale that actually meets their demands? And at what cost? That's the question.
It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory here.
Hmm.
But one thing's for sure, those renewable energy certificates we were talking about, those aren't the magical solution they seem to be, are they?
Not quite. RECs can be a part of the solution, but they shouldn't be a free pass for companies to ignore how much energy they're actually using. And it's even trickier when you think about location. A company might be buying RECs to offset emissions in one country, but their actual operations could be using tons of fossil fuels somewhere else.
So it's like trying to solve a puzzle, but with half the pieces missing. What a mess. We've got a lot to unpack here, from the hidden costs of AI to this whole nuclear power thing. But first, let's take a closer look at how those renewable energy certificates really work and why they might not be as green as they seem. Okay, so let's break down these renewable energy certificates. RECs. Like, they sound kind of good, right? Companies can offset their emissions, green energy gets a boost, everyone wins. Or is it not that simple?
Well, it's not quite a direct correlation. Imagine eating a whole bag of chips, and then you're like, but I had a salad yesterday, so it's fine.
Ah, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, RECs can give off that same kind of vibe, like, look, we're green, but are they really?
So a company could be running their data centers on, like, coal, but then they buy some of these RECs, and boom, they get to call themselves green.
Pretty much. And both these articles we've got here, they really dig into this whole transparency thing. Because, yeah, buying RECs can be a step in the right direction, but it shouldn't just let companies off the hook entirely for how much energy they're actually using.
So then where does that leave, like, regular people?
Yeah,
Like us? Should we be worried?
honestly, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Because thing is, big tech's energy use, it's not going down anytime soon. AI is just getting bigger and bigger, and all those data centers are going to need even more power.
It's like we're hooked up to a digital energy IV, and they're just going to keep cranking it up. So what happens if big tech decides to go all in on nuclear? Is that a good thing for the planet, or are we just, like, trading one problem for another.
That's the million-dollar question. To understand that, we got to unpack exactly what these big tech companies are even talking about with these small modular reactors,
Yeah.
the SMRs. Those are different.
Okay, yeah. Break that down for me. What are SMRs
Hmm.
and why is big tech so interested in them?
Basically, SMRs are like smaller, more portable versions of those massive nuclear reactors we're used to. Think of it like they're the sleek, modern condos of the nuclear power world, not those giant, kind of scary power plants everyone pictures.
Okay, I like that analogy. So instead of building one huge nuclear plant, they can just build a bunch of smaller ones. I guess that would be a lot more efficient, especially for powering data centers all over the place.
Exactly. And they say because they're smaller, they're inherently safer, easier to manage. Like it's easier to, control a small campfire than a whole forest fire, right?
Right. But what about the waste? That's the scary part of nuclear power, isn't it?
It's a legitimate concern for sure. Nuclear waste doesn't just disappear, but the companies that are putting money into SMRs say they've got these new ways to deal with the waste, like disposal and even recycling it. Whether that'll actually be enough to like calm people's fears, who knows?
So it's kind of a trust me situation with the SMRs for now. So how are we, like, as people who use the internet, supposed to navigate all this? This whole energy choice thing, these corporate promises. Do we just cross our fingers and hope for the best? So, like, we've been talking about all this energy use, RECs, nuclear power. It's a lot. Where do we even go from here? What does it all mean for us regular people who just want to, watch TikToks and not worry about causing an energy crisis?
Well, that's the question, right? Because whether we realize it or not, we're all part of this whole energy debate. Everything we do online, all those Google searches, streaming movies, it all uses energy. And as we use more data, big tech needs more power. Simple as that.
It's like they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Except now it's more like, there's no such thing as a free cat video.
Exactly. And those costs, they add up. More greenhouse gases, strained energy grids. There's even geopolitical stuff happening, like countries fighting over resources like uranium. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I know. It's overwhelming. What are we even supposed to do? It feels like no matter what, we're using energy.
You're not wrong. It's a big, complicated issue. But there are things we can do, like even just thinking about how much we're online. Do we really need 20 tabs open right now? Could that movie wait till later instead of streaming it? Little things make a difference.
So being more mindful about our tech use.
Exactly. And the other thing is, we've got to use our voices. We can support the companies that are actually trying to do good, the ones using real renewable energy, and we can call out the companies that are just greenwashing.
Right. Got to do your research. So it's not just about, like, understanding the tech stuff, but understanding how that tech impacts the planet and making sure companies are being honest about it.
100%. It's on all of us to close that gap between what companies say they're doing and what's actually happening.
Well said. Big tech's energy problem isn't going away anytime soon, that's for sure. But by understanding the problems and being aware of what we can do, maybe we can make things a little bit better.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right? The more we know, the better choices we can make for ourselves and for the planet. And that's what these deep dives are all about.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So next time you're online, just take a second to think about the energy that's making it all happen, because even small changes can have a big impact in the long run. Until next time, everyone, stay curious and stay informed.